Yeah, so I haven't kept up with it really ever. So just interesting. But there's a couple of things though. So as I was speaking about the Carmelo Anthony case, right? Kind of just opened my eyes when you're talking about stuff like this. Not to say my eyes were closed, but it really brought it to the forefront. Instantly, whatever side you stand on will give you a connotation, right? So if you see Carmelo Anthony as being guilty, you instantly a coon, right? As soon as you disregard any evidence and you just go strictly based on the two boys, what they look like, and the assumed side that you're supposed to stand on, you know? People give you a label automatically, and it simply disregards the evidence and the objectivity, you know? In cases like this, when it has to do with the circumstances amongst the man and the woman, trafficking and etc., there is a very this is a very touchy thing because projection, I think the overwhelming majority of people can't help but project. You can't help but project your biases, right? And at this point, I don't even know if it's wrong or right. I just know that an objective conversation is hard to achieve, you know? So like the grooming and the trafficking, like Robin just said, it just that's what if you're not on that side of it, you're wrong. I found this thing, and not to say I found it like I looked it up or something, but I was not surprised by who said it. But I know that there was a lot of backlash because of what he said. You know, the one thing I think about, let me know what y'all think in terms of young and dumb. Young and dumb. Is young and dumb suitable answer and response to what you do, even like what you manipulated to do? Is that a valid excuse? Is young and dumb a valid excuse? Put a 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. Because I've seen that quite often. Is young and dumb an excuse? Put a 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. Put a 1 in the chat for yes, 2 in the chat for no. And at what point isn't an excuse if you think 1 is yes? So do you think that in this particular circumstance, and I haven't done all my due diligence, I just know I had to cover it, does Cassie get the excuse of young and dumb? So here's what you're answering now if you put 1 or 2 in the chat. Does Cassie get the excuse based on what we heard in this case for young and dumb? 1 for yes. I'm going to put it in the chat. So now, does Cassie get the excuse of young and dumb? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 1 yes, 2 for no, 2 initially. 2. Don't flood it. Don't flood it because you'll skew it. I'm trying to read it. 1, 2. Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to read. I'm gonna read the first 3 responses as to why she does get the excuse for. Now it's good, Reaper. It's majority 2s. It's majority 2s. I like to kind of do it tangibly like this, right? It's majority 2s. Now, and the reason why I like doing it like this, Reaper, is because I can see the gender and at the very least the avatar, right? So I either have to assume it's a man or a woman, or obviously based on the avatar, it's a man or a woman. Because when I do it like this, now I can see the majority of the 1s were women. Okay, just pointing that out, and the majority of the 2s were men. Now there's women mixed in with the 2s. The 2s were no. Right. I'm gonna take the first 3 responses, unless it's a super chat, obviously. Why does she get the excuse for young and dumb? It's saying invalid, Davy. Okay, let me find it, brother. Let me see. So I'm gonna read them. So you can type it out real quick if you want. If you said one, yes, she gets that excuse. Type it out and tell me why. Obviously, if it's a super chat, I'll read it, but usually I don't read the nons, right? So I'm gonna take a second. Let me get this link for Davy real quick, and then I'll read them. Okay. So Robin's, I'm gonna combine it. She responded first was she was 19 exclamation point. Your brain is not even developed until 25. And the power dynamics is what led her to do those things. Okay. Okay. So she's just simply young, don't know no better. And with a man with that much influence, who gonna tell him no? Because we've seen even men get caught up in it, right, Robin? So if other men couldn't tell him no, how do we expect a 19-year-old girl to tell him no based on the power dynamics and people wanting to seemingly, climb, you know? Okay, okay, okay. All right, let me see. So that one, okay, so I got Rob. Okay. Shiesty says, because she was so young and naive, she wanted a career and she wanted love. DV is more mental and power driven. Okay. So it's the manipulation and her want. Now, question: Well, let me read the next one. So, Callie, yours is very similar to Robin's. So I'll try to get another one. Let me see. Okay. So you guys are kind of along the same lines then. She was young and dumb trying to break into the industry. So now here's the thing. Davey, I just dropped it, bro. Let me know if you got it. Let me see. All right, so I just dropped. Let me know. So here's the thing about breaking into the industry. Does that mean that if she's trying to break into the industry, she wants to be a singer and she's doing whatever allegedly she did to get there, is that calculated or is that her being manipulated? Okay, so Jonas said 24, 21. Okay, cool. So you see, is it her being calculated, using her body to gain access, or is she being manipulated and then that happened to her? Okay. So now they're talking about Ryan, her track record, because that's simply like what the retort would be, because if we're saying she's trying to break through, was she doing what she thought she had to do to break through? And is that the green part of it? Okay. 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 Now I'm gonna take the 3 responses. Put a 2 in the chat. Sorry. If you said that her being young and dumb is no excuse, write your response now. I'm gonna take the first 3, obviously, unless it's a super chat. So let me see. So Keeps It 100 said, as a woman said, she was calculated. But why though? Break it down. I'm gonna take the first 3 responses that aren't super. Say, if you said 2, she can't use it as an excuse. Tell me why. Yeah. So young and dumb, is that a valid excuse for Cassie? I read a couple. One was yes, 2 was no. So I'm looking for 3 responses that if you say 2, tell me why. And I'm gonna read them. So Reaper says, if you purposely go to them spots and get yourselves involved outside of the office or an agency, you are calculated. Okay. So Cece says, fucking and sucking ain't nobody that dumb to think that's going to help you to the top. So you saying, Cece, that doesn't help or it does help? Just to clarify. So I can take this one, but I'll take one more. She wanted the lifestyle. Hmm. She was on recording messaging and Tony, what up, my boy? Let me see. I just want to make sure I get one more. All right, so I guess I got 3. So that's what's so that's what's so that's what's just so slippery about these things, man. No pun intended. So I was trying to look through it. It's a whole lot. And the clips are a little bit easier to kind of just play, you know? But I think CBS News, from what I gathered, did the best in terms of what I saw in terms of like kind of surmising like the things that happened that were like the most cohesive, I would say. So let me see if I can find that article again. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. So this one right here. Let me see. This one, okay. But what I was referring to was Boosie. Did you guys see Boosie's what he said? And he got a whole lot of backlash. Let's first go. I just want to see what y'all think, because y'all probably are more up to date than me too. Keep it tall. So here goes Boosie. It's blurry, but Boosie Badass official from on his on his Twitter, he said, "I don't see no crimes committed in this case!" Exclamation point. This in no way is a RICO charge. You shouldn't be sent to jail for being a freak. This is a case of 2 freaks in a relationship having ups and downs. Anyone who thinks he should be giving a life sentence is sick. The government never arrested Hugh Hefner for his freak offs and 18-year-old girls living with him and drugging. Only thing I see is a domestic violence charge! Exclamation point. What's the commentary on Boosie and what you think he's saying? So the other thing, the reason why this chat, another reason why this message resonates is because he's not being charged for domestic violence, you know? And I know that gets, we want it to be considered, but if you are putting that into what he's being charged for, you're conflating. He's not, he was not, none of his charges are domestic violence charges. And that video really grabs at our, heartstrings, our attention, our morality when you see him kicking her and etc. But that's not a part of the charges, and that's not how court works. Court is not going to say he kicked her in the hallway, so that proves trafficking. That's not even considered. That's not a part of the evidence at all, whether we like it, accept it, understand it, believe it or not. And I wonder, maybe why it wasn't in the chart, but So here's the charges here. Let me see. So Combs, so this is, he was at Sean Diddy Combs. Oh, sorry. So here, so this is CBS News. Sean Diddy Combs pled not guilty to 2 additional charges. I'll read this through. Sean Diddy Combs was back in court on Monday for arraignment on 2 additional charges. His trial is set to begin in May, but his defense, so this is older, right? But his defense team may be seeking change to that. I just want to make sure we understand the charges. Combs, 55 years old, faces several charges, including sex trafficking. He entered in the courtroom in tan prison clothing and blue slip-on shoes. He nodded his head seemingly to an imaginary beat while seated and waiting for the judge. Combs addressed the judge as sir or judge. There were no friends or family in the courtroom Monday. Again, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page regarding the charges, right? Combs pleaded not guilty to the new superseding indictment, which added 2 charges to bring the total to 5. He's charged with racketeering, conspiracy, transportation to engage in prostitution, and sex trafficking. It's alleged he used threats, force, or coercion to get victims to engage in sex acts, once allegedly dangling a victim from an apartment balcony, according to prosecutors, right? So in his charges, you don't have that domestic violence assault charge in there. For whatever reason, that's not a part of the charges that he has against him. And I don't know what the reason is, but even because here's the thing, who brought this case against him? Who brought this case against him? The feds, right? So even the state, was he in New York when he kicked her? Was he in New York when he kicked her? I think it was New York, right? They all have the video. The state can bring a domestic violence, or excuse me, the assault charge against him. Oh, it was in Cali? Okay. What, right? So the state can bring a charge. She could have pressed charges on that for the relevant reasons. She did do the civil suit. But we're simply saying, even if we don't want to disregard it in terms of what we saw in that elevator hallway, they disregarded it. They did not put this in the case. And this is what I mean about objectivity. It's not about what we like or don't like. It's what the actuals are, right? Yeah, Miss Jilly, Daly, if Daly is in here, he can fix those links. You know, he can fix those links. And if you guys like see court, because you know you can, I don't know if we all know this, but you know you can go to a court case. Like you can go and watch court in real time. It ain't a lot like you see on Law and Order. Law and Order does a pretty good job, but it's a lot more subtle and it's based on facts, evidence, and you have to establish certain things. Oftentimes you don't see people getting the filibuster. You know, you don't see people be able to filibuster how you see on like Law and Order and shit like that. You know, so I recommend just going to watch it. You know, just to see. You know, just to see like how court actually is. You'll be surprised as it compares to like the TV show. But I think they do a pretty good job on the TV show, you know. But I think we just gotta be objective, right? Because what you also find is when you're trying to have a conversation about a thing that we're all witnessing that we may have feel passionate about, if a person looks at the evidence, looks at the charges, looks at the facts in the case, and then gives a response, you got people demonizing them because of that. Right. And I think you do the entire conversation a disservice, right? Because you want to look beyond things that aren't included. So I guess we just gotta be, I think we want to be as intellectually honest as we can. You know, I just want to think we want to be as intellectually honest as we can, you know. So the charges here, let me see if I can get it up again. If we just want to make sure we see the charges. So let me pull this one up real quick. Let me read it again just to make sure we're on the same page. So here, superseding indictment accuses Combs of using force, fraud, and coercion to compel a woman to engage in commercial sex acts from 21 to 24. The indictment returned by the federal grand jury in Manhattan also alleges Combs was involved in transporting the women, identified only as 2 victims, other people, including commercial sex workers, to engage in prostitution during that same time frame. The new charges are in addition to racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges filed against Combs when he was arrested in September. They increased the total number of charges against him from 3 to 5. Okay. So he's locked up in the federal jail in Brooklyn. So it says there are not new allegations or new accusers. These are the same individuals, former long-term girlfriends who were involved in consensual relationships. This was a private sex life defined by consent, not coercion, his attorney said in the statement. So yeah, that's what it's including, you know. Yeah, I don't know. So that's what it's including there, you know. So it just doesn't say what maybe we would want it to say, and it's not including what we would want maybe we wanted to include, right? And it just is what it is, to be frank. So what do you guys think about Boosie specifically? I don't know if I asked directly. Do you think that Boosie is out of line? Or do you think that what Boosie says has merit? So one, if what you think Boosie said is out of line. That's just the verbiage I'm using. Out of line for what Boosie is. Boosie out of line for what he said, or is what he's saying have merit? One for out of line, two for it has merit. One for out of line what Boosie said, two that has merit. I just want to see where everybody stands. Two means it has merit. Two. Ones, mostly ones. Okay. One, mostly twos. So mostly twos. Now there is a gender divide. For the most part. There is a gender divide. So sis said two. CC said two. The fella said two. Venus said one. Isaiah saying the sum game, which we don't play here. Boot camp, I'm not sure. Students do two. Miss Parker says one. Robin says one. Everybody else kind of saying two. Two. Shai says one. Damn. So what's the gender divide is prominent. Why is the gender divide so prominent? What's up, HQ? Why is the gender divide so prominent when these questions are asked? Are the women identifying with what Cassie was saying? Are you guys identifying with what happened to her? Or are you identifying with how it can happen? Yeah, no, I get it. It's definitely a trail for sure. Yeah, the feds got what? I think it's like 90% conviction rate. So what y'all think? Like, what is it though? Like, women can identify with what she went through. They can see how it can happen. They maybe been through it themselves. The power dynamics that exist in the industry is how somebody can fall victim to them. Okay. Or is it they see men, the majority of men, in a negative light to be monsters or evil. So by proxy of that, of course, he's the one that made her this way. What's up, Chris? Okay. Now, the one thing, and so I have this clip. The clip kind of summarizes it, and I was looking for the original one, but every single time I saw this girl, this woman talking, Anton was up there with her. So I can't find the original. So I don't know if he recorded or what, but literally every single repost on TikTok and Instagram is Anton's clip with the girl talking. But let me go through this before I go to this clip, right? Real quick. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. I'm gonna read the super chats. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. All right, let me see. All right, this one. All right, so I got this key moments that we're gonna go through real quick. Eli with a 10 ounce says she broke up and left when she wanted to, so she have to be held accountable. Yo, RBN in the building. Perfect. Eli was popping. So the RBN, TJ was goody.
Shit like that.
Been a member for 15 months. TJ with a 20 ball. Perfect. RBN through the fire podcast with a 20 ball says, I'm having a hard time seeing where the crimes are. I promise I don't wear glasses. Sex trafficking cause y'all went across state lines to pound it out. So beware of flying out a woman, because now it's sex trafficking. Jesus Christ. And the feds don't lose, TJ. That's the thing that just hold on. Salute to TJ for the first 20 ball of the day. didn't fit. But it's like, yo, they don't often bring cases that they don't have a case for. And they have a conviction rate upwards of 87%. So based on the statutes for what they were able to charge him with, sex trafficking seemed to have qualified based on the statutes and what the qualifiers are. So is it literally that simple? Like, is it literally just that simple, TJ? And if so, on its face, it does sound crazy. But I know that this shit just started, you know? DC Slim of the Fight Out says they want them tapes of Obama and others doing fruity shit. He can go home when they get the tapes. Jesus Christ. DC Slim of the Fight Out says everybody was at them parties. Puff ain't stupid. They can't kill him because they didn't find the tapes in the raid. So he going more the conspiracy route. Okay. He been going more the conspiracy route. But yo, if that's if that's the statute, yo, because it's essentially like, yo, her purpose for moving from state to state was to have the sex party. So that's that like, is that it really it? Like, it not really it. Like, is that well, no, is that the qualifier? And I guess that is yeah, no, I got you. It just seems it give me, I'm taking it back a little bit how it's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? So look at this right here. So this one is like key moments so far, right? Salute to CBS News. Cassie Ventura testifies at Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial. Here are some of the key moments. So the violence thing. So let's go through this one. All right. So violence occurred frequently. Can I X this out? Okay. In her initial statement before court, Ventura, now pregnant with her third child and married to personal trainer Alex Fine, recalled her and Combs' early interaction and how she started to see a different side of him over time. She said she met Combs when she was a newly signed singer at 19, and their burgeoning friendship became romantic 2 years later. Okay, so she says that they started dating at 21. Was her association with Ryan Leslie before that? Let's go now. She also described his alleged violence throughout their 10-year on and off relationship, recounting instances where he knocked her over, kicked her and dragged her, and stomped her head, causing black eyes and bruises on her body. When asked, Ventura said the abuse endured and happened frequently. Okay, so she dated Ryan at 19. Okay. Combs is seen attacking Ventura on video footage on CNN and obtained and published last year, which shows him throwing her to the floor and kicking her and dragging her in the hallway of Los Angeles hotel. So control was everything. Okay. Now, this right here, this testimony here speaks to what mostly the ladies were saying, right? To where she was being groomed, manipulated, didn't have the brain capacity to make these decisions soundly. And you know, he was in full control of her. So when she's on the stand, 9 months pregnant at this juncture, this is what she is highlighting. Ventura characterized Combs as physically and psychologically abusive throughout the first hours of her testimony. So for hours, she was articulating this. Control was everything. This is a quote. From the way that I looked to what I was working on that day, who I was speaking to, she said, quote, control was an all-around thing to a certain point. Okay. Combs allegedly introduced Ventura to quote unquote freak offs, drug-fueled events where he is accused of forcing women to perform sex acts with hired sex workers, which were focus of the indictment outlining his alleged crimes. So that's what they're trying to get him for. Ventura said that Combs broached the idea of sexual encounters involving voyeurism during the first year of their relationship. He would hire an escort or dancer with whom he would watch her engage while he directed them. The singer testified she felt confused and nervous, but I also loved him very much and I wanted to make him happy. Okay. That part right there. Is this prominent in this type of relationship? Women wanting to make them happy, or is this the younger versus older, the influencer versus the woman trying to get on dynamic? Or do you guys think that this is the dynamic in most relationships? Like women are looking to make the men happy, or is it the man that has the power and the influence? So who generally qualifies for I loved him very much and wanted to make him happy? It's usually the man that has influence. I think he might. She testifies she worried about making Combs angry because of how much control he had over her life and her career, and the possibility that he could blackmail her by releasing images of the quote unquote freak offs. Prosecutors allege in court documents that Combs often recorded these performances with or without participants' consent. Okay. And these are the key moments. So I want to definitely get down to, oh no, this one right here. All right, I'll read this one. A shift in the relationship. Ventura recalled Combs looking out for her when she first met him. They fell in love, she said, while spending time together in the studio or traveling elsewhere. I think I was just enamored by him. We were just having a good time. It was really fun at this point, she told the court. But as her appearances, transportation, rent, and overall lifestyle came under Combs' control, Ventura said her music career, the record deal, eventually took a back seat to the alleged freak offs, which left her feeling humiliated. So quite literally, based on this, she didn't even get to be a singer anymore. So her whole life, now, this is testimony, right? And people are sworn under oath to tell the truth. Let me ask y'all a question. One, do you believe her? Two, if you don't, for the most part. I'm not saying you disbelieve everything, but one, do you believe her? Two, if you don't. I just want to see something. Because she's saying she damn near lost her career because she was too busy doing freak offs. Fuck the music. Fuck all that. The freak offs are the most important part of her life. And Diddy had her doing freak offs as a job, damn near. She testified that despite recording hundreds of songs, let me zoom so y'all can see. Recording hundreds of songs and 9 albums while she was with Combs, work was never released because freak offs became her job. They took up too much time and energy to leave room for the other pursuits, Ventura said, adding that she would stay up for several days at a time to party, drink, and have sex with strangers. The freak offs could last anywhere from 36 to 72 hours at a time. She said the longest continuing for 4 days. She recalled them happening almost weekly for years. Damn, son. Yo, that is crazy to me, son. But with the right drugs, yo, I remember cats used to take that Adderall shit in school, and just stay up and write papers or do whatever. So, Diddy got access to everything. So if this is true, 36 to 72 hours at a time, where literally freak offs were her job, son. Freak offs were her job. Now, here's a couple things, right? She said they started damn near when they started dating each other. So I guess this paragraph, at what point does this, like, at what point was Diddy not Diddy, you know? Like this paragraph. We saw him on Making a Band. I just don't see his modus operandi, but maybe he turned it off for her and turned it on for Making a Band. But at what point did it stop having fun and become what she's characterizing as? And see, that's the thing that the defense can lean on. You know what I'm saying? So you said it was fun. You was messaging, you was enamored by him. And then at what point did your view shift, or did it shift conveniently because you just got a $20 million lawsuit? See, this is what the defense, that's the game they're going to play. Because now you can say it's not fun conveniently, right? That's the game they're going to play. But the prosecution saying he had full control over her. When he took control of her life, whatever she thought didn't matter anymore. This is the shit that they're going to present, right? Ventura felt disgusted and humiliated by the freak offs. Ventura began to cry during her testimony when asked whether she wanted to participate in every freak off. Now, CBS, I picked CBS because I felt, and I'm saying feel like kind of how they covered it and typed it out seems pretty solid. So now the word every is very important here. The word every is very important here. In every freak off. So I think the obvious answer to that is no, right? She said she didn't, and she felt disgusted and humiliated by them, but she also didn't want to disappoint Combs. Now, the question being posed is it's very strategic and great. I mean, that's how I would ask it. You know what I'm saying? If I was the prosecution and she was my witness. Ventura told the court Combs dismissed her when she expressed how she felt about them, calling her predictable for not wanting to engage. Testifying at length about the freak-offs, Ventura said Combs provided ecstasy and cocaine, which she took to stay awake during the incidents. Okay, so here's she expounded on the hotel incident. We all kind of know about the hotel incident. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to read through the hotel incident. Or should I skip over that and get to the messages and stuff? Should I read this one, the hotel incident? Because we saw this one. We kind of assessed this one too. At slight nauseum. Can I skip the hotel incidents? Put a 1 in the chat for yes. Or 2 in the chat if you want to go through that too. Come on, hurry up. Okay, so 2, you want to go through it. Okay, so Darius responded. So I guess we'll go with that. One. All right, ones. So mostly ones. Okay, drug use important. Drug use. Combs allegedly provided stimulant drugs like cocaine to keep participants awake for the length of his freak-offs. Ventura said she also testified about the time when she requested ketamine, an anesthetic that has been used recreationally for its hallucinogenic and dissociative effects. Prosecutors allege Combs' freak-offs involved excessive drug use in part-time to keep the victims obedient and compliant, and accused him of using substances in part to exercise control over people he targeted. She said Combs didn't like the drug and argued a successful quote-unquote freak-off can be remembered, but explained ketamine was her preference because it allowed her to be less present in the moment. Now, this part is important because there's been a lot said about the baby oil. And I thought that the baby oil in this particular blurb would have been mentioned. But the baby oil being infused with some type of drug or hallucinogen, that hasn't been mentioned unless I'm missing it. But I know it would have definitely been in this for damn sure. So I think that might be social media saying that the baby oil has some shit in it. But that's not in the drug use portion here so far. You know what I mean? And she didn't make mention of the baby oil being infused with anything, you know? So I think that's important to point out. Now, in terms of the ketamine, he didn't like the ketamine because he said that it allowed people to almost be present without being present, you know? And she wanted it because it was a hallucinogen that brought her to a different place, essentially during the freak offs. And he wanted her to be present and accounted for. Now, see, this part is interesting. I want to see how they parse this out, because you would almost think that ketamine would be something that he would prefer if it allowed people to not remember all the fine details, if he was forcing people to do all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like ketamine would seem like it would play into, kind of his goals. If he was forcing people, whooping people ass, making them do X, Y, and Z, then implementing ketamine that allows them to have a foggy remembrance of what was happening would seemingly make sense. But it actually says that he was against ketamine. So I wonder how they're gonna parse that out or use that, if at all. You know what I'm saying? DC Slimmer the 2000 says Ryan pimped her out first. She been a freak. Red Pill Ranger with the 10 ounces says she say she did the freak off out of fear. But how she feared him so much, but has several boyfriends, and she cheated on Cuddy too. Do freak? Oh, I'm reading bad. So sorry. She feared him so much, but had several boyfriends, and she cheated on Cuddy to do the freak offs. Kid Cuddy, right? Is that Kid Cuddy, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, she cheated on Diddy with her husband, but he is the boogeyman. Now, what do y'all think about what Red Pill's saying? Does the activities outside of Puffy, dealing with other men, having a boyfriend, cheating on a boyfriend, and go back to the freak offs, do you think that Red Pill has a point here when he's saying, how does that show fear? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that Red Pill has a point here? What y'all think?
Day and night.
So they said, Robin said he doesn't have a point. Sophisticated Jerk said he has a point. That baseline is fire. Here for the T, no point. Or not really. Ms. Bell says she understands the point. Jones said it's mind control. Baby Bull says she full of shit. Freedom says he absolutely has a point. Tequila say he has no point. Has a point. And that baseline was fire, right, Jones? Okay. Good. Super chat. Red Pill. It got mixed responses. Red Pill Range with $2 says she did freak offs even when Diddy was out of town. See, I was hearing that. We're gonna get to that thing, I hope. Let me see. All right, so the Red Pill, thank you for the super chat, my brother. All right, let me bring this back up. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. The rape allegation. Ventura told the jury that Combs raped her in her living room in 2018. They were not together at that time, and Ventura was seeing the man who is now her husband, she testified. Ventura said she remembered crying and saying no, but Combs did not stop. After he got up and left, Ventura testified. Ventura accused Combs of rape in a lawsuit she filed in 2023. The lawsuit was settled the day after she filed it. Combs denied the allegation. So that's when she got that 20 ball, right? She got that 20 million at that point during for this alleged rape allegation. The only reason we say alleged because she settled out of court civilly and he hasn't been prosecuted and found guilty of this accusation, and then obviously he denied the allegation specifically. The text messages during cross-examination Thursday and Friday, the defense asked Ventura about numerous text messages she and Combs exchanged over the course of their relationship. They included affectionate message. Now this is during cross. Okay, so the defense for Puffy, his lawyers are now questioning. They included affectionate messages where Ventura told Combs she loved him and saw a future with him, potentially one that involved starting a family. Other messages related to the alleged freak-offs included one exchange allegedly coordinating one of them. Okay. So she coordinated a freak-off via the text messages. Oh, that's what they're saying the text messages say. So the alleged freak-offs, including one exchange, allegedly coordinating one of them. Quote, you told him you wanted to do freak-offs, end quote. They asked Ventura at one point, to which she replied, no, there's a lot more to that. Okay. What y'all think of this? They got something here. If she was coordinating the freak off. So, because she says no, there's a lot more to that. Is that like saying not exactly? And if so, does that punch a hole in any way, shape, or form in the Fed's case? Because remember, all this stuff got to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. During redirect on Friday, Ventura told prosecutors that there were times Combs was kind and loving, but they didn't last. She said Combs' moods affected her life, career, and how she felt about herself. And if Combs wanted a freak off, then her work would take a back seat. I had to do freak off, she said. So now, see this part. Now, when people are talking about it, right? So when people are covering it, they're just blatantly saying she planned freak offs, right? So that's the problem if we don't read through at least up, they're paraphrasing the transcript. But CBS, from what I gathered, was kind of just more objective, like going through the highlights, right? Because there's so much to go through. But it was saying that in a lot of people's like TikToks, they're like, she planned the freak offs, but she didn't say that emphatically or clearly, here in terms of her testimony, so I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting for sure. Now, and there were other things that were, I think, pretty important in the case that I saw. So let me go here real quick. All right, is this the one I want? So let me just read this one, right? What to know about the Diddy trial so far? Singer Cassie Ventura faced cross-examination from the defense Thursday as they asked her questions about her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs, her drug use, and whether she was jealous. During cross-examination, Ventura, who previously testified about blackmail concerns around freak-off videos, said she could understand that Combs' career was ruined by her 2023 lawsuit. So essentially, they're pointing out that this would be a contradiction because she can't be afraid that he's going to release the freak off videos because her suing about the freak offs and him paying showed that he paid out a day after the lawsuit came because he didn't want all this to be out in the public. The testimony frequently includes graphic allegations involving physical and sexual violence, including Ventura accusing Combs of rape. Combs has pleaded not guilty to 5 charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, a main part of which involves using employees to facilitate illegal activities. Yeah. That's where that racketeering shit comes in. And there was other testimony about his physical abuse towards her by one of the singers. I had it up. I can't find it. Oh, this one. There we go. So Dawn Richard testifies she saw Combs attacking Ventura. Richard, whose group is signed to Combs' labels, took a stand late Friday. She testified she saw Combs attack Ventura in his kitchen when she was cooking breakfast for him. Richard told jury Ventura was cooking eggs when Combs grabbed the skillet and attempted to hit her. She said Ventura fell to the ground. Okay. Dawn Richards, what? Okay. It's a lot. Let me see. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Now, Machine with the 2000 leaving freak off same day to hit Cuddy is wild. And true, and he said this. She did freak off even when Diddy was out of town. Oh, all right. What y'all think so far, man? Based on what you heard, based on what you know, and I got a video I want to show you. Do you think? You know what? I'll do this let me ask a question. 1 in the chat if you think Puffy ass is grass, pause. Or 2 in the chat if you think he gonna get off. 1 in the chat if you think he guilty, 2 if you think he gonna get off. 1 in the chat if you think he guilty, 2 in the chat if you think he gonna get off. Based on the evidence that's been presented so far. 1 in the chat. 2. Wait. Venus, 1 was guilty. 2, if you think he gonna get off. Yo. 1 in the chat if he guilty. 2 if you think he gonna get off. He done. Damn. So this is one video I saw, and I went through a bunch. But when I was hearing this lady talk, she seemed pretty like calculated. Because what we continue to see is the divide in genders based on our conclusions. Based on the conclusion that a lot of us are coming to, I see a very stark divide with the genders, you know? And so this video kind of I don't know. I don't know. Let me see what y'all think of this one. Cause I was just looking at different stuff and I'm familiar with Anton. So I saw this lady and I was looking for her original, but I could not find it for nothing. So we'll play this one. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Let me show y'all this.
So what I've learned from
All right, can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear it?
this Diddy trial is that I might be a man. I ain't gonna lie. I must.
Now her qualifier is interesting. She's like, I might be a man. I must be a man. And then she's about to give her take as to why. And Fifi, I went over the charges. Is it? Because I want to play it because I know she talked more than that. Is there the description? Does it?
I don't know. I'm really. So what I've learned from this Diddy trial.
Y'all have you have the original? Text me. I'm gonna play this for now, right? Yeah, send it to me.
Is that I might be a man. I ain't gonna lie. I must be a man. And I say that I might be a man because it seems like the majority of women feel like anything a woman does in her early adulthood that is bad, she shouldn't be held accountable for if it was done in the name of love. Like, are y'all understanding what I'm trying to say? Like, it's like, regardless of what evidence is presented, women are finding excuses. Like, I don't have, as a woman, I don't think God gave me that gene to make excuses for shit that is clearly inexcusable. Like, she's literally sending messages, initiating the freak offs. She was literally on the stand and said, I wanted to do them because I didn't want him to do them with anybody else. She said in the text message, I'm always ready for a freak off. And it's like, instead of taking her words at face value, women are like, actually, she was groomed. And because she was groomed, she was just saying whatever she thought would make him happy. She didn't really like it. She just liked it because he liked it. And she just wanted to please her man. Where's y'all getting that from? Like, my brain does not work like that. Maybe I'm just not empathetic enough, but my brain does not work like that.
No, you got it right. And it's a lack of accountability, it's a lack of responsibility, it's a lack of taking ownership. And for some reason, we've always claimed that these people are the victims. Don't matter if they have equal rights, don't matter if they have the ability to choose for themselves. It's victim when it's convenient, but then it's accountability and ownership when it's beneficial, right? It's equality when it's beneficial. Everybody is smart until they dumb and it's time to get paid. I've said throughout this whole thing, I've been consistent. I'm standing on it, and I'm gonna just literally go down with the ship on this. I believe that she was an accomplice. I believe that she was the Bonnie to his Clyde. I also believe that she got out just in time in order to claim victim, and then she was going broke. And the fact that I found out during this trial through people that were in the courtroom that she FaceTimed the dude while Diddy was busting her down that she's with now, and now he's still getting her pregnant. It's all a play. And he was going broke. They was going broke. It was a money play. And now this is what you see happening. I still don't rock with her.
So what I've learned from this.
What you guys think? So Remy says, the fact that black men are defending Diddy so hard, a bisexual man, when other black men have came out and said the horrible things he's done is disgusting. Truth says, I just said that Hamp, she got out. Bullshit, the heat hit, she knew. Oh, you're saying she got out? Interesting. She got another 10 million. Okay. Let me see. So my brother Will just says something real quick. So let me see if I can find it. Will, was it this one? Hold on. So let me see if this one, Will, let me know if it's this one right here, bro. Will this one help us at all? Let's see. All right, let me read these real quick. Red Pill Ranger with the $5 says, we all know freaks like Cassie from high school and college. We all know chicks who like trains, gangbangs, and automobiles. They all regret it now. Cassie with the True from Reality Undefeated with the $2 says, Cassie has the I was young defense that women love. Will with the $10 says, I watched the video from the Breakfast Club and Lauren LaRosa described those text messages a little differently than CBS. And Lauren was also in the courtroom. Yeah, I think I appreciate you saying that. So let me see if you think this is the right one, Will. True from Reality Undefeated with the $2 says, men are thinking with logic, most women with emotion. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. You sent it via hey, can you send it via Discord real quick? Because you sent it on Instagram on This Might Be Risky or Instagram on DJ Hamp, because I got the This Might Be Risky one up here. Yeah, you send the other one. Can you send it to either the DJ Hamp one or the This Might Be Risky one or the Discord really quick? Because it's not this one. I'll play this one in the meantime.
Because you kind of embellish our coverage. Erica Byfield did a phenomenal job. When we're on a newscast, I'm on a newscast, but we're still somewhat limited in our lane and what we can say and do. And I'm not just talking about salacious details. It's communicating to an audience, your audience, in a real way. Talk me through that before we actually get to your thoughts on the trial.
Well, honestly, I think what I do right now is when I leave the court, I'm thinking about so much. And the first day I went there, I was like, oh, maybe I should just wait to do the podcast or wait to do the Breakfast Club. And I'd actually called Charlamagne and I was like, hey, I have all these notes, all this information. What should I wait or how should I do this? Because it's a lot of content I can produce out of this. And he was like, no, put it on social and then bring it to the show. I pressed record and I just started talking like, hey, this is how I feel. These are the questions that I have. Everybody's not going to agree with me on this, but this is exactly what happened today. And what I realized was people began to gravitate towards it because, like you said, with an outlet, you can only talk about so much. You got to focus on things. You have your angles, you have your headlines. With my Instagram video, some of them, over 9 minutes long, I'm just talking.
Exactly. But that's what I gravitate towards. I watch your posts and sometimes I see you in your eyes kind of working through it. Like I think the juror is working through it. So that testimony this week, right?
Yes.
I mean, at one point in the first week, you said, I'm not even sure how the juror is going to sort through that because you have the prosecution, then you have the redirect and you're reacting in real time.
Yes.
And you're trying to rush out of the courtroom and post that and then get back.
Yes. And it's been happening where at times I can't even leave the courtroom and get back because if I leave the courtroom, I might lose my seat in the actual main courtroom where you can see everybody. And I like to, do that. But I think the hardest thing has been because you said, I didn't think about it like that. Like I'm reacting like a juror because as I'm watching, I'm analyzing the facts, really listening to the testimonies. I'm remembering the timeline. I'm writing the notes. I'm going back and being like, oh, but wait, she said this or wait, his defense team said this. You get to a point sometimes where you're at like a draw where you don't know how you feel. And that even makes me like, today, my last time in court, I couldn't really decide.
So, okay, I got the one that Will sent. Hold on. Because this is the one he was referencing. So I want to play this one. Where the fuck is it? Oh.
Big part yesterday was them going through text messages, the defense attorneys, because they are fighting to prove that Cassie was a willing participant in the freak offs, that there was no force, there was no coercion. So they going through these text messages. Basically, it was a ton of them. And she's in the text messages saying she's down for the freak off. Also, she's in these text messages planning that, like, how she said Puff was the ultimate choreographer of these things. She's giving very much Lorianne Gibson. She was choreographing her dang self in these text messages.
Oh, wow.
So what they did was, which I thought.
Okay, so she just blatant. She blatant about it to Will's point. Just blatant. Okay.
Was like, again, brilliant, and it blew the prosecution's setup up. The day that Diddy and Cassie got into that fight at the Intercontinental Hotel, the video that CNN dropped, when the prosecution presented the narrative around it, like, okay, let's give y'all some background info, they only used like 3 texts from the day of March 5th. The defense attorneys was like, let's go back to March 3rd. And let's lead you into where the prosecutors, y'all talked about text messages.
And that was 2017, right?
2016.
16. Okay.
Yes. So when they took it back, it was such a different conversation. And I don't understand why the prosecution wouldn't have included this and got ahead of that. So in the text messages, Cassie and Diddy are having a conversation days leading in, and they're like sexting, and a lot of the explicit text messages they wouldn't read in court. So I don't know exactly what she was saying, but they were sexting a bit. She sent, I believe it was 4 or 5 sexual text messages. Like she's initiating that. Puff is really on some like, I'm proud of you, because she did have that big movie premiere coming up. So he's like, yo, I'm proud of you. You got this weekend coming up. They talking about like accessories for her outfit. And then she's like, so it gets to the weekend, right? It gets to the day that they did that freak off, and she's trying to figure out what her plans are. And he's like, okay, well, I'm down to do whatever you want to do. Let me know what you got going on. So she's like, I want to see my baby. And then they start, and now they're having a conversation about the freak off. And he's telling her, since you want to do this, you plan it. Call the guy from the male escort service they were using, and Cowboys or something like that, and get who you want. You set up how this one is going to go. He even said to her in text messages, like, if you want, we can sit back and just watch. Like, we don't have to even participate. And they asked her, but they was like, okay, so what does that mean? Like, sit back and just watch. There were also text messages from another. So that created a whole different narrative around that, right? But there were also text messages. Remember, she talked about being forced to do it on her period and stuff like that. There was text messages where she mentioned being on her period, and he didn't force her to do anything on her period. He kind of like backed off of it. He was like, okay, bet, like, cool. The text messages that they showed yesterday in court, that whole force, that coercion thing, it blew that up.
No, I listen, I'm just being objective here, right?
Damn. Yo, good looks, big league. I don't know how much I could. I mean, it is what it is, right? But do we should keep going? In 2016, Frank. So I think she's 39. So 30, 31, 32. She's like 31, 32 probably, right? Because I think she's 38 or 39. So I think, yeah, well, we needed this, bro. Because she kind of framed that part right there. Now, what's the responses to that? In 2016, she's 31, because I think she's 39. Hold on, let me just look real quick. Hold on, let me see if I can look her up, just so we can make sure we're on the same page. Okay, so it says she's 38 years old. So in 2016, yeah, she's 30, 31, 32, 34. How old is she? Yeah, 30. Yeah. So it says she's 38 here. So she's 30 for sure. Yeah. And I don't see why Lauren LaRosa would not tell us exactly what it is. You know? Okay. So she's 30 years old in 2016. Okay. That's interesting.
Diddy's legal team has already conceded to some aspects of his conduct.
Yes, 100%.
So they're just trying to say, in regards to Cassie, it wasn't coercion, it was consensual.
Yes.
Correct. Now those text messages go all the way back to 2009.
Yes.
Right. And
then, they even before they had like 2007, I think it's some
okay.
text.
So the ones that are from 2017, all Cassie is going to say is that she said whatever needed to be said, because if she didn't comply, he would beat her up or be violent to her. She already admitted that she loved him. Yep. She said she also was afraid of him. That's typical in an abusive relationship.
100%.
So like that, when you like, no, I don't believe that blows up the prosecution.
The only thing that I will say back to that, because
so Charlamagne saying, in an abusive relationship, the mind is already warped. So even though you see her agreeing or participating, if she's saying, I loved him and I'm trying to please him, what do you think is going to happen to a person who is being physically, mentally, and emotionally abused, right? If they're being manipulated to that point to do freak offs and they got to get on ketamine, then of course she's going to say things that sounds like she aligns, because she's already being controlled. She's already a zombie at that point. That is what Charlamagne was just articulating. Now Lauren has a rebut to that. I don't know if it's a rebut. Maybe she wants to add to see what he thinks about that.
I said the same thing too, because also that's like that text thread is from like 3 days out of a 10-year relationship, right? So there has to be way more. We know there's way more because we've seen the evidence of him being physical, right?
It shows that she was involved and that she wasn't being forced. But I think
what if she was afraid? When she takes this, when next time she takes a stand,
when she texts him to ask about it, I think it's going to show that she wanted to do it just as much as he wanted to do it.
No, but she said she already has contextualized that. Right. She contextualized that her first couple of days in court by saying, I did whatever I had to do and said whatever I had to say in order not to get my freaking face beat.
But I think so. Seeing that, and that's what I'm saying, because like for instance, there was one text from 2009.
Now you see, because Envy understands the planes too. So what is Envy saying here?
She contextualized that her first couple of days in court by saying, next time she takes a stand and they ask,
when she texts him to ask about it, I think it's going to show that, she wanted to do it just as much as he wanted to do it.
No, but she said she already has contextualized that.
Right.
She contextualized that her first couple of days in court by saying, I did whatever I had to do and said whatever I had to say in order not to get my freaking face beat.
But I think so. Seeing that, and that's what I'm saying, because like for instance, there was one text from 2009. That's the one where she says, "I'm to correct it." That's
so now question, right? When you look at the courts, are they gonna be thoroughly considerate, right? The jury with because I'm just thinking about the defense, right? What Charlamagne said would be classified as. Let me make sure I got the right word. Because I'm just thinking about how the court, right? So let me see. Let me make sure I got the right word before I use it incorrectly. That would be conjecture. Because even when Lauren said it's 10 years, that there's more than that. But you don't have that information to make that conclusion. Are they going to force the jury to go off the information that they have in front of them? Or are they going to allow a level of conjecture to say the assumption is there's so much more that we don't know, which is why we have to go with what we believe her mindset to have been. So if they allow the conjecture, then boom, they may have a point, but I'm not sure if they're going to allow it. You see? Just in terms of how the courts be working, you feel me? So let's listen a little bit more.
the one where she directly says, "I'm always down to freak off," and then later she talks about how she wants it to be like, she wants it dirty, like she wants it aggressive, she wants it whatever. So that, why they did that, because they're trying to show if he was aggressive at all. She asked for that, but
she was down with it.
Yeah, but I just think that like in the text messages leading up to that Intercontinental video, he was so gentle in the conversation. Like
but she also said she didn't want a woman in that position. She didn't want him with any other woman. She wanted to be the only woman.
Yeah.
But the Cassie thing, I don't think it's going to be as explosive as Dawn and James Cruz, right? The reason I think Dawn Richard, because they both announced yesterday they're going to be on witness stand, is there was no that we know of relationship. So this is straight off of, there's no.
We might find out why Q was crying in that Vlad TV interview.
Right. Yeah. And same thing with James Cruz. James Cruz was the manager.
So the
James
fact
Cruz
that the prosecution
is calling James Cruz, and the fact that the prosecution is calling Dawn.
Cassie said that James Cruz and D-Rock cried one time when they saw her get beat up. But listen,
it is different because here's what y'all gotta understand. Not to say y'all don't, but just to be clear, you have to prove this shit beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. And the jury ain't even gonna be his peers. It's gonna be us. They not gonna have 12 billion, or what is it, 8, 12, I don't even know how many they got on this case. They not gonna have 12 millionaires up there, right? So that may work against them essentially, But they only need 1, 2 for a mistrial. And I'm just wondering, like, what are they creating doubt in regular people's minds? Because, like V said, the men are the problem. Was going to be men on the panel, or excuse me, men on the jury. Like, are they creating doubt? If they're creating doubt, that's all they need to do. And those text messages, based on what Lauren London's saying, they used them pretty strategically. And the prosecution maybe could have clarified what those meant before the defense used them by rewinding one day. Because now it sounds like they tried to like hide it. You know what I'm saying? Because we're looking at court, we're looking at how court is conducted. And if you can see how people could see doubt in what's being presented, that's all they need. That's all they need for the verdict to be or not to be, It's not as emotional in the courtroom as y'all would think, But it's just interesting. But what Charlamagne said, is that the most viable, and is that what most people are going to default to? What Charlamagne presented. If most people are going to default to what Charlamagne said, then it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know.
Can it get more explosive than nut on a nipple? Another man's
Yes.
nut?
Yes.
Rubbed on a nipple? You think
Even the oil being warmed up?
Yes, because Dawn Richards was there and there's no love for him. So she's not letting anything back. I'm sure Cassie's still being a little sensitive. But James Cruz and Dawn, those will be explosive.
And also, too, Lauren, you said something.
And James Cruz was his ex-manager.
You said something, right? You said something about, Diddy was being gentle in text messages. That means nothing. Because we saw the hotel video. So you can be gentle in a text message, but then in person.
No. The only reason I brought that up is because we saw the hotel video, but when Cassie talked about the hotel video in court, the way that she framed how the lead up to that was, like even their interaction while she was on stand, it came off as very much like
aggressive.
Oh my God, I'm just here. I don't want to be here. My body is being like used, bruised, and like almost like literally like a sex slave almost. But then you see the conversation and he's like, we shouldn't do the freak off because you got this big movie premiere. Let's start early so you can get some rest. You got to take it. Basically, he's trying to look out for her in that situation.
She wanted to do the freak off right before she went to work.
Yeah, but he kept saying it. He was like, too bad you got work. Too bad you got work.
Right.
We should do it early. You should get rest. But her narrative was completely different. Even though we saw that video, it just makes you think like, I'm confused because they also brought in basically what's your motive? Is it vengeance? Because they read another text about Kim Porter. Cassie was upset that she never got to spend holidays with Diddy, and Kim Porter did. And it was apparent that she felt the way about the woman Gina, which is what broke up their relationship. Michael B. Jordan got some strays in here. It was revealed that
so they had a meeting with Kid Cudi before they blew up a car.
Allegedly, they went to dinner with Kid Cudi. Puff sat them both down and wanted to have a conversation about the relationship. They brought that up yesterday because she made it seem like he sat them down because he's big bag Puff trying to scare him. Defense said no, he sat y'all down because he introduced y'all. He felt the way about that. He put you in the studio with him, and then you go grab a burner phone and start dealing with him. Of course, he's gonna sit y'all down.
Did Kid Cudi say in that meeting, well, why you burning my car?
No, the car thing hadn't happened yet. He said, "What about my car?" Because I think Cassie had kind of warned him, like he said this is gonna happen, and Puff was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. What car?"
I guarantee you today, all the prosecution is going to say they're going to ask Cassie questions, and Cassie's going to say she told Diddy whatever she needed to tell him because she was afraid.
100%.
That's I guarantee.
100%.
I just want to keep him
that
happy.
would be the way to go anyway.
Damn, son. That wanting to be the only woman thing that Envy brought up is interesting. And I know that there's other people involved, but that's the thing. You have average people on the jury. So it's 12 on this jury. Thank you for that clarification, Jones. I wasn't sure. And 6 alternates, right? And so all those people are closed off as much as possible, right? Yeah, Jess look crazy right here. I ain't gonna hold. And it's just like, what are most people going to default to? Like, they're going to hear all this. And they go through the voir dire process, right? So typically they're trying to find them people who are the least amount of bias, but have some, whether it be characteristics, aesthetics, their talking points that would cater to either the defense or the prosecution. So even in that process, you got the 12 plus the 6, they're vetted. And then you can also, I forget the proper verbiage, but like, let's say I want a juror, I can strike that juror automatically. So they're even kind of, tailoring this jury to get a win or, to get him off or to get him guilty. So it's so much shit going into it, man. And reasonable doubt is all you need, regardless of how you feel. I think we often wish how we feel mattered more than it actually does, especially when it comes to court. Like what we were talking about in terms of, Carmelo Anthony, so and the boy Austin who lost his life. So it's interesting, man. It really is interesting, for sure. I wonder this, we always talking about people bedrooms and shit like that. And this is beyond that. I think we can all agree. But, you ask yourself, what would happen if somebody opened the door to your bedroom? Like, what would happen if they opened your closet to your bedroom? Like, we ever put ourselves in that? We're like, oh, this nigga's wilding. The motherfucker you sit on the bus every day, you sit next to in a cubicle. You yourself, what would happen if somebody opened the door to your bedroom? I don't know why that shit popped in my head, but oh no, shit crazy, boy. Let me read these real quick. Bronze Bomber, what up, my G? Salute for the $3 stupid sticker. Appreciate you. Truth and Reality Undefeated with the $5 says, we all know what happens if she leaves, she gets married, has kids, and lives her life. Diddy didn't have her chained to a bed. Red Pill Ranger with the $5 says she couldn't leave from the beating she couldn't leave from the beatings and freak offs. She was too afraid. But saying Kim Porter was the love of his life was enough for her to leave. True from Reality Undefeated tells us if she was so afraid, how did she cheat? Did I read this one? Okay, I read this one. Damn. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. I'm gonna drop the link, see if anybody would like to converse. Let me get DC Slim with the $2 says we are here because Puff won't give up the ghost. Caesar, what up, my brother? My brother Caesar's Palace in the building. Salute.
Shit like that.
Caesar's Palace contributed to every single meetup we've had, donated, bought tickets, showed up, paid for the fighters, the best fighter of the night, donated $1,000 to that when we did the This Might Get Rocky in Houston. I love you, my brother. I appreciate you, man. I'm gonna drop the link. I ain't gonna sit up here all day. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this because we only got 3 minutes of it left. Big Lee, if they flag, they're gonna flag us by now. So
be the most sensible thing to say.
Yeah. I just want to keep him happy because I was afraid. But she already said if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, he'd beat me up and all types of other stuff. So
do y'all feel like in wrapping this up, question for the room, they spent a lot of time talking about withdrawals with Cassie, and even not even relation to Puff. They were asking her like, how is it when you withdraw from drugs? Because they were both doing that a lot. And she talked about how you get angry, you get irritated. Then they brought it to Puff and said, well, when he was withdrawing, were your days worse with him and his anger? And she was like, oh yeah, for sure. They did that because they're trying to give a reason behind a lot of what we saw in those videos. Y'all think that's gonna help him?
No, it's not gonna help him.
Hitting a woman and beating a woman, there's no
drugs not an excuse.
A withdrawal is not. First of all, you're not even supposed to be that strong on a withdrawal. Like you're supposed to be sick, killing. Like, nah.
I just want the record to show. I didn't know how they were going to tie Rico together. I see it now because I see Nino Brown. I see Cassie being G Money.
Bro,
I can see. I know who Gutter Man is.
I be in court like, yo, she laying it out right now. But I will say she's
G Money. All you gotta do is tell on the organization.
But that's what it seems like Cassie's possibly doing.
G Money didn't want to be down no more. You know what I mean? And when he didn't want to be down no more, and started doing his own thing.
But my thing is, will she be penalized because she was down at one point?
Who's the light skin cute accountant though?
You. The tapes ain't come out yet. We got 8 more weeks, baby. We got 8 more weeks.
Okay. You heard me, Lauren?
Huh?
My thing is, will she be penalized because she was down at one point?
That's what Envy's kind of asking too.
At one point,
I asked, and I was told that there's rumors that there was a conversation about immunity with her, but I'm going to try and get some more confirmed information on that because I keep saying that like she was complicit at some point.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Lauren. Have a safe day in court today.
Thank you.
And don't step over anybody else again. Yo, Lauren was.
I got sneakers on today.
Oh, you got sneakers on today. She was walking with the high heels, stepping over people.
You be bringing deodorant, right?
Dang, I didn't even play the interview. It's okay.
You be bringing deodorant?
What?
I be thinking about that. I'm like, damn, Lauren be there all day. You can't be musty representing us.
I'm sitting in an air conditioned courtroom.
Stupid. Yo, it's I want to say salute to Lauren. What's her last name? Lauren LaRosa, right? I think based on what she presenting, I think she's doing a pretty damn good job, you know, for sure. Just based on the information that she giving us from this look, you know, because people can frame it. It sounds like she literally just recapping her notes. I don't think she putting no sauce on it. Even when Charlemagne said what he said, she kind of gave a slight retort. So, you know, it's interesting. And I think the interesting thing about the racketeering is, right, in the RICOs, is you're using other people, right, people in your organization to get what you need to get done. You know, so it's just interesting if they're framing her as an accomplice or complicit or, you know, planning freak offs, you know, being mad at Kim Porter, you know, all that other stuff. This doesn't mean it's the end of the potential RICO, you know. Puffy's on trial now, but I just haven't seen a whole bunch of the racketeering. Like when they started with the mob, in order to get the top guy, you had to loop a bunch of people in it. And so him kind of being on trial for all intents and purposes by himself looks a little bit different from a RICO or a racketeering case that I've seen, just throughout history, when you look at the mobsters mostly, when you looked at that rap group with Young Thug, it's a whole bunch of them getting arrested. So that's one thing I've seen a little different, unless I'm just missing something, Venus with the 10 ounces. Anytime there's a case of sexual assault, domestic violence, or violence against women, most black men defend it, no questions asked. No, that's not true. Is this true? Put a 1 in the chat if you think this is true. Lauren LaRosa, thanks, Jonesy. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all think that's true. Most black men defend it? Damn. So it's a divide again. Most of the women are saying 1. The men are saying 2. Cinnamon Sugar might be a woman saying 1, 2, 1. So Cece the only one. Shawnice, it looked like a female name, saying 2. Cece said 2. Based on, and this is a difficult thing I'm going to ask. Impress put 2. I don't know, Venus, because it's like, who do you like? I never not heard a woman say like the boy Travis Rudolph. The girl called her brothers, and her brothers went over there, and one of their friends got killed. Defending her. There was a father and a son in Detroit. The mom called for something. They ran up in the dude's house. Both of them got killed. I know 2 dudes, one trying to defend the girl, whatever, and they both was dating the girl. One of them died leaning over the sink. The other one died in the grass with his ass in the air. When like, who do y'all call? Y'all call y'all brothers. Let me ask you, the women who said most black men, do you include your fathers and your brothers in that most? With saying they're willing to defend any other man against SA and domestic violence and etc. Are y'all brothers and fathers the minorities? Or do you also include them in all the men that are willing to defend poor behavior? It's interesting, man. It's interesting. Venus with the $10 says, just read your own chat, then look at all the male content creators prior to any court evidence coming out. Yeah, no, I'm looking at the chat. I think it's it's the women saying one thing, majority, men saying another thing, majority. But it's quiet today, it's chill today. It's 250 people here today. Salute to everybody. It's interesting. What's up, Mr. Fantastic? Perfect.